Hey tankers, this is Eric over at Taigen Tanks, and today we're going to be replacing a smoke unit inside one of our Taigen tanks. I'm going to go ahead and do the Tiger 1, but the process is going to be the same for all across all tanks. Pretty much we're going to unscrew the smoke unit from the tank. On most of the tanks it comes on the lower hole in the back. Some of the tanks like the KB series will be attached to the upper hole. Usually they're only attached between 1 and 3 screws. The Tiger one has a little bit special process. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how we're going to swap it out on the Tiger, and then we're going to test a new unit before we actually put it in as well. So we're going to go ahead and start by opening up the little latch in the back here on the Tiger. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove the 8-pin or the 8-wire plug right here to the upper hole. And then I'm also going to remove this 2-wire plug here that goes from the turret, and that's the recoil and the sound for the turret. Alright, so now we've got our tank sitting right here, and we've got a broken smoke unit here. We got this little cap right here, just seems to gotten a little loose. So the easiest way to replace this guy on the Tiger 1 is to go ahead and remove this bottom plate right here. Okay. Now this plate is held together by 4 screws on the very bottom of the tank, and I'll show you where that is in a second. Now what you will want to do is take a picture or go ahead and label your wires where they go on your motherboard first before you start unplugging things. You can also, just take a sticky note or something. I know where these wires go, so I'm just going to go ahead and unplug them and set them to the side. If you guys get confused, forget where they go, or just want a wiring diagram in general, go ahead and visit our TaigenTanks.com website. And go ahead and send us an email and request one over there. Now, what I did is I unhooked the first 2 motors, and then I've also now unhooked the power as well. And pretty much what that does is just disconnects the front section right here from the back section. Now I still have one more cord left right here, and that's going to be the volume control. You may need to use a pair of pliers depending on how difficult it is to get it out of there. Mine was actually pretty easy there. Now I'm also going to remove this one, which is the speaker, and that's for this guy right here. Now this cord can stay attached. Then we've also got the smoke unit on-off switch and the smoke unit switch, which we definitely need to unhook the on-off switch. So that's going to be this guy right here. And we'll go ahead and make sure to be careful when you take those off. And then we will set it to the side over here as well. Now, to unhook this, we're going to go ahead and first pull off these tabs here. This is where the smoke unit comes out on the, the smoke comes out on the smoke unit. If you can, go ahead and pull them off. Or if you can just break it off, that works too. Now, on the bottom side of the tank, we're going to have 4 screws that we're going to need to unscrew here. Okay. Now, you can notice them by the difference in color. You'll have one right here, one right here, one right here, and the last one right here. And that's all there is. Okay. So there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Okay. And they're going to be on the outside, not the inside screws. So let's go ahead. It's going to be a little difficult to see this. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew here. And make sure and save your screws, because we are going to need those 4 in just a minute to replace those. Alright. And then we've got 2 more here. Scoot these over, try to get a better view here. Okay, and now for the last one. Okay, so now all 4 screws are removed. Now, once again, the only thing this thing really controls is this mounting plate on the inside right here. And this mounting plate is going to be held onto the motherboard by a little 2-sided tape. So you can grab that and make a small little bend right here and just slide it on out. So now we can easily replace the smoke unit, which is mounted via 3 screws on the bottom right there. Now we can already tell that's our wiring right here. So we can just go ahead and unplug that from our motherboard. And let's just go ahead and unscrew the smoke unit here real quick. And once again, make sure you save the screws. And then last one here. Now, our smoke unit will easily come apart, and as you can see, there's a little breakage right there. It could have been fixed just by putting a different screw through there, holding it in place. There's nothing physically wrong with it besides just the screws being stripped there. If you guys had this on your own, I would just suggest to go ahead and drill yourself out a bigger screw. But I do see this one looks like it might be a little broke as well. So nonetheless, these smoke units are very cheap. They're easy to come by. They're $10 on our website. So here's our new one right here. It'll also come with 2 long tubes. And then it will also come with a little stopper right here. It'll also come with a little T-piece. And the stopper goes in one side right there. One of your exit hoses go here. And then this is a little 90-degree elbow that you'll get for the other side. Now, what we're going to do before we stick this guy in is we're just going to go ahead and test this smoke unit to make sure that we do have good power or good smoke coming out of it and everything's working correctly. So what you can do is get yourself a DC power supply unit or even just a few AA batteries. You can put them together. Just make sure not to go over, 9 volts or so. I mean, there's really plenty for these guys. The most they're really going to see off a 6-cell nickel metal hydride is going to be 9 volts, and that's maybe for the first minute or two. And then the voltage is going to drop, so you're going to be really running around 8.5 volts if you're running off a nickel metal hydride for about top voltage anyways. Now, I've got this nice little connector. I did have to rig it in there. Make sure your positive and negative are correctly, your polarity is right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start this guy here. It's going to be about 7.5 volts. 7.7 or so is my lowest this e-fuel can go. Which, by the way, we do sell these e-fuels. They're awesome. They'll output anywhere from about 8 volts to up to 15 volts at 20 amps. I can find them on our iMix site. I use the poo out of these things. They're great. So let's start it out, and we're going to go ahead and test the smoke on this. Okay, so right now we're pulling about 0.6 amps, 0.7 or so, with about 7 volts, 7.7. So we're getting really good smoke. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. Smoke's coming out good. I don't hear any kind of anything too loose in there. Everything looks like it's going actually real nice and smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and crank it up to about 8.5, just to make sure everything works out real good there. Okay, so there's 8.5, and I have plenty of smoke going here. My room's nice and starting to fill up here, actually. And so you can kind of see that we're pumping out some decent smoke. So, I mean, looking at around 8 volts or so, this is what you're going to see normally. So, I mean, that's pretty decent smoke for a replacement stock unit anyway. So let's go ahead and turn this guy off. We'll unplug him here. And we can go ahead and set him aside and reinstall the smoke unit into the tank. Now, what I like to do first is I will actually pre-drill the screws into the plastic here before I actually install it. This just makes it a ton easier when you've actually got it upside down. So let's go ahead and just pre-drill these here real quick. And it doesn't have to be 100% in, just enough to start the screw. When you have this thing upside down, It just makes it a ton easier when things have already been pre-done here. Okay, so that's 2. And then the last one we're going to get here. Alright, so now our 3 holes are pre-drilled. Now we can go ahead and set him where he needs to be, which is going to be, if you see guys, they do have sockets. Nice and dirty. So we do have sockets right here that they'll actually sit in. So you want to set those in. And, yeah, there we go. And get these lined up. And once you get them lined up, the smoke unit's actually in there pretty decent. So I'm going to turn this guy over and put the first few screws in. And here's what I was talking about. Makes it a ton easier here. Because now we know the screws will start already in the thread. And we don't have to use a bunch of pressure to hold it in place. And once we get 2 screws in, it'll be nice and stable in there. Okay, and then our last one here. Okay, now we're in there. Now, that is our smoke units. What we'll do is just go ahead and we'll hook him back up where he needs to be. And we can go ahead and use a screwdriver if I can get it in the hole. Just go ahead and make sure it's seated completely in there where it needs to be. And then we can wrap up this extra cord right here and use our little hanger here. And feel free to bend it and mess with this as you choose. But that gets rid of the extra wire. Now, we also have the option of either using the previous ones that were on there, or we can go ahead and make ourselves new ones. Since they come with new ones, I'm going to go ahead and suggest you guys just go ahead and do that. It is just takes a few seconds to pop right on. I would not suggest gluing these guys on, mainly because you can always come back and twist it a little bit here and there. You can also, let me pull this tank back over. When you set this guy in, you can reroute the hoses to wherever you want. If you don't want them in the exhaust, if you want them in this hole, or maybe you want just one exhaust to pump out more, or, you know, on different model tanks, it just makes a big difference. Maybe you're only using one output, or, you know, whatever. Anyways, you can pretty much make your own. You have plenty of exhaust line to make wherever you need. And then you pretty much just follow the same instructions that we did, taking it back apart, putting everything back in, and that's it. That's how to replace the smoke unit on one of our Taigen tanks.